this is my Alpina D3 Biturbo Touring. What made me choose it over the B3 is actually the engine itself, because it behaves quite similarly to its petrol brother, like the N55 for example, because it revs out all the way to almost 5,500 RPM. Which means all the way up to 4,000 or even 5,000 RPM, this car can still pull some serious numbers. This car is an X-Drive, which means 0 to 60 happens in about 5 seconds, maybe a little bit under that. Now the base car for the Alpina D3 was actually a 330D, which then Alpina took from the assembly line. They put on some exterior parts like the front skirt, the rear diffuser, the exhaust system, which is fully made by a Krapovich, and they also added a little badge telling you what car you're driving and telling you exactly what number of car you're driving, and not to forget all these small details that Alpina have added throughout the car, which make this a really special place to be. Now Alpina has taken the, I believe, 250 horsepower 330D and amped it up to 350 horsepower, which is quite a significant change. I mean, they did that by adding a second turbo, which makes the biturbo Alpina so special. They've added a bigger oil cooler, a bigger cooling system in general, and then they tweaked some engine parts as well. I'm not quite sure on that, but I believe so. And they changed the exhaust system, put on some new wheels, and all this package goes for like $6 grand more than a 330D. So I don't know why you should pick the 330D, to be honest. Now driving through these mountain roads, you can tell that the electronic steering that came into BMW cars at the F chassis era is really not as good as the hydraulic steering they used to have in the E chassis. For example, in the E92 M3, which probably has one of the best steering racks in existence. Now this steering rack is still pretty direct. Like if I turn the wheel, instantly there's a change in direction, but it just doesn't feel the same. Like the steering wheel feels like synthetically heavy. You can't really feel the bumps in the roads anymore, and it's just a little bit. Now even though this is a diesel car, the engine still sounds pretty good. You know, up in the rev range, it doesn't really sound like a diesel at all. The other big part of a diesel car would be the lack of throttle response, which this car kind of manages pretty well. If you put it into Sport Plus mode, as I now demonstrate, I put my foot down, and I mean it does have to kick down some gears, but it's pretty instant. It's not like an E92 M3 or any petrol naturally aspirated car for that instance, but it is pretty good for a diesel.